So if you're a parent and you have a high SAI, student aid index, and you think it's outrageously ridiculous, like way more than what you feel is reasonable or that you can afford, this video might be for you. Let's go ahead and jump into it. How's it going? I'm Josh Smith, and I'm the founder of A Grade Above College Planning. For years, we've helped families navigate the college planning process from admissions, student positioning, to financial aid, scholarships, and overall college funding. So over the years that we've had the opportunity to help so many families, one thing I can say is if you have a high SAI, used to be EFC, and you're not happy about it, welcome to the club. Most families, most parents are never happy, or they're never, I would say, satisfied with the amount of money that the government thinks that they should be able to pay once they complete the FAFSA and they get their SAI student aid index. So in this particular video, I want to help you focus your attention on certain things that could save you a few $1,000s a year. Every year we meet with families, and we meet with families that have already completed the forms, and we identify areas where they may have made a mistake, things that might require additional attention and or some correction. So in this particular video, I'm gonna highlight 5 areas where you may wanna focus your attention just to make sure that you're not overpaying more than what you should. So the first thing that you wanna focus your attention on is your reported income. You wanna make sure that your adjusted gross income, or your AGI, reflects the same amount that you have on your tax returns. A lot of times we find that small business owners may make mistakes, and sometimes parents accidentally report untaxed income incorrectly. So the first place that you wanna pay attention to is your reported income. So the next thing that you want to focus your attention on is your reported assets, right? So this is a big one. Now, assets collectively doesn't represent or have as much of an impact on your student's aid eligibility as your income, but $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 more than what you should be paying, it definitely adds up over the course of 4, 5, 6 years while they're in college. So when it comes to reporting your assets, make sure that you did not include the non-required assets, such as your retirement accounts, 401k, 403b, 457, your IRAs or pensions. Make sure you also didn't include the equity in your primary residence. And when it comes to including other assets such as investment real estate or a vacation home, make sure you included the net value, right? Not the market value. You don't want to go to Zillow and get this, this high astronomical value and use that as your equity justification when you're completing the FAFSA. You want to use your sometimes tax assessed value or the net value minus anything that you owe on the property, including your tax assessed value. So you want to be very conservative when assessing your properties. And then for those of you that have brokerage accounts, other investments, maybe mutual funds, you also want to factor in the net value of those investments, meaning if you had to sell those investments, you're going to take, are you taking a loss in that particular year? What about fees? What about taxes? What about all the things that you have to pay? And what is the net amount you're going to walk away with if you were to sell those investments and use the funds to pay for college? So when supplying or reporting your asset information, make sure you are not overvaluing your assets and you're not including assets that should not be included. Number 3, your household size and dependents. So this is where you want to make sure you include all the dependents that you're supporting, not just your students. Sometimes many of us are taking care of our aging or older parents. If you are providing financial support, you may be more than 50% for either your parents, a loved one, as well as your children. Make sure you accurately report that and include it when you're supplying or submitting your financial information. So household size and dependence is something you want to pay attention to. The fourth thing that you may want to focus on is when it asks about students, the number of students in college. For those of you that have multiple students that may be overlapping or in college at the same time, be sure to make sure you mention that you have multiple students in college at the same time. Now, with the new FAFSA, You no longer get the break when you have multiple students in college at the same time as you were able to receive or see maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. However, certain colleges still consider that when it comes to institutional financial aid. When they understand that you have multiple students in college at the same time, the financial burden that you're going through. So just make sure that you didn't include one student when you actually have 2 students or multiple students in college at the same time, because it could make a difference in what you're receiving from certain colleges that do provide institutional financial aid. Lastly, if you own a business, if you have a business and you have less than 100 employees, now we understand that with the new FAFSA, you have to report your business valuation. But just be sure to think of it in terms of, if I were to sell my business today, what would I get for it? And for many of us that have a business, we may not have, a lot of staff, right? We may not have a bunch of employees or a bunch of assets. A lot of us are just operating with, our own ability. We may be working with our hands, or income pretty much stops if we stop coming to work. So if you were to sell your business today, right, separate from you being involved in it, what would you be able to get for that book of business? Don't really always go based on your revenue or the income that you were able to generate. Go based on the assets that you have within the business, and is it a business that you can actually sell? So this is an opportunity to be, I would say, aggressively conservative. Realistically speaking, what are you selling? What are they buying? And what would you value that at? This is where a lot of small business owners have the opportunity to let FAFSA know that even though they work for themselves, they may not have a business that is worth selling today. Now, here are a few more bonus tips that you can use, especially if you have a senior in high school or maybe a current college student. If you've made any of these mistakes, or maybe you haven't made these mistakes, but you still feel like you can't afford the overall cost of attendance based on your financial situation, this is where it makes a lot of sense to submit a financial aid appeal. It does not hurt your situation, and it can only help your situation. Let the colleges know your circumstances. Maybe you've had major medical expenses or home improvements or a natural disaster. Maybe it's none of those things and you just feel like you need help supporting your student while they're attending college. It makes sense to submit to the college your situation, a financial aid appeal, to justify them giving you more money. And the second tip, which is a huge one, and this is more for your underclassmen, for students that are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, first semester, senior year, do the proper planning that leads into completing the FAFSA. The FAFSA, for the most part, is a simple application, and they've even simplified it over the last couple of years to make it easier for you. They streamlined the questions and they made the process easier, especially with the IRS data retrieval tool. But the planning that goes into completing the FAFSA is really where the magic happens. If you are in a situation where maybe you own a small business, or you have multiple children, or you have a split household, it makes sense to do the proper planning where you have the right expectations. If there's anything that you can do to optimize or reduce your SAI, this is where that actually takes place. So the proper planning that leads into completing the FAFSA is really where a lot of families miss the mark, and it is a very costly mistake. If you have any questions, concerns, or you want resources such as parent letters for appeal, student letters for appeals, let me know. We'll be happy to provide you any guidance and or support. Hopefully this information was helpful. If it was, please give us a like, a thumbs up, or share it with someone that you feel can benefit from this information. Be on the lookout for the next video that we make. We typically are talking about ways to reduce your out-of-pocket costs when paying for college. Until then, have a great rest of your day, and what you don't know can definitely cost you. We'll talk to you soon.